actually stimulating, absolutely wondrous. If I may have your permission, I'd just like to offer the dua right now, and then we can open up for Q&A.
Please, Yasmin.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Oman Snappy. Thank you, ALWAAZ Shahnaz, for spreading the beautiful virtual tablecloth of special revolutionary points, especially with reference to giving life to the dead. According to Quranic science, Surah Namal 622, Surah Namal 636, and many other references which, inshallah, we will reflect upon. Thank you also to Z, Faiza, Salima, Aziz, and the team. Thank you one and all the participants, for your encouragement, commitment, and engagement. Oh Mawla, thank you for connecting all of us virtually, spiritually. Let us pray, remembering all people in the world of humanity, the world of Ismailism, our families, and ourselves. O Mawla, grant us all practical shukr guzari and make our love pure for you. Ameen. O Mawla, help all Ismailis come closer and closer to your Nur-e-Imamat. Ameen. O Mawla, shower your blessings of salawat upon all global Ismaili Jamaat and the world of humanity. Ameen. O Mawla, grant humanity courage, protection, special inner satisfaction, enlightenment amidst COVID-19 pandemic. O Mawla, accept the sacrifice of all the souls who have come in your huzur and give immense courage to their families. Ameen. O Mawla, grant every single soul in the world inner healing, happiness, oneness, and peace. Ameen. O Mawla, we are calling you with melted hearts. Grant us tears of your love, and every moment help us to be merged in your love. Ameen. O Mawla, grant us inspiration and make all our actions full of knowledge and joy. Ameen. O Mawla, Rabbi Zidni Ilma, collectively, Khudamand, we beseech you that you help each one of us feel your Nurani hand upon progress. O Mawla, Nur Maulana Shakri Mulasini Hazrat Imam, grant us excellent physical, spiritual, intellectual health, and barakah, and ready us for all your miracles. Ameen. Ya Rabbal Alameen. Shukranillah walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ya Ali Madad. We'd like to invite friends to please raise your hands. I actually don't see.
Participants, those who have questions can raise your hands in going in reaction, and you can raise your hand from there. And if you want, you can also post your questions in chat. Shenazaba, there is a question in a chat asking, we are clear about Imam alayhi salam as Isa Azam, as he makes us alive spiritually and intellectually. But please explain us, why do we consider Imam as Alame Azam, and how is that? Please send us some light.
Okay, if I've understood it correctly, that why Imam is known as Isa, Isa Zaman, yeah?
No,
Isa of the, no?
he says he understood that Imam is a Isa Zaman. Please explain how Imam is considered as Adam Zaman.
Okay. I mean, in the sense that although this is a topic of life, I would have preferred if there are some relevant question to that. But because the story of Adam is the story of a Momin progressing, a Mustajib progressing from Isme Azam by Isme Azam. And this is possible, now this is possible through the light of Imam. So that's where then he became, he became a guiding light, and then he taught the angels. So in a way, angels could be considered as moments. So Adam Zaman means that now he can teach his murids, and that's where he is Adam Zaman. All the miracles which took place in the time of Adam are with Imam, and Imam can bless moments with those miracles. So that is one of the way that Imam is Adam Zaman.
There is one more question. Is there any documentation of Tawil in which the era of Jesus, just like we have Pir Khusro and Kirani, etc., were any Tawil handed down from that era?
Not all of our books are translated into English or Urdu or other related languages, but yes, our Tawili literature, which includes Wajh-e-Din, which includes Zadul Musafirin, which includes Jamal Hikmatain, books of Nasir Khusro, books of Sajistani, books of Abu Hatim Arazi, book of Hamiduddin Kirmani. I mean, all the Smiley Buzurgs we have, they have written books and they have mentioned Tawil of the stories of Prophet. But since these books are not accessible in a way that they are not all of them are translated. Some are translated. There are some partial translations. There are some translation in Urdu, but there are no translation in English. I would say a best summary of all of that could be found in English and Urdu. In the books of Allama Sahib, that could also help. And the translation of the books which are available, like Wajh-e-Din is available in Urdu. Khanul Ikhwan, partial translation is available in Urdu. Likewise, Jama'ul Hikmatain and Roza-e-Taslim of Nasiruddin Tusi, they are available books. So some of the books are available, and if we can't access those particular books, I think the books on Ismaili literature and monoreality.org are in Urdu and English, and some of them are also in Gujarati and Persian. So we can perhaps take help of those books,
We see one hand raised. Leila Pirani, can you unmute yourself? Leila Pirani?
Okay, so now can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Shana Zapa, thank you very much. Thank you very much for speaking in English. I understood almost everything compared to last time. And I want to ask you one question, is that Allah can transform someone from dead to alive, and then also give them light, so that they might even be a spiritual being higher. Do you have an example of somebody who's been like that? Like maybe Kararura, I think. They were not as religious until after they listened to the Ginan or something that awakened them. Do you know any other examples?
Okay. This particular verse of the Holy Quran, chapter 6, verse 122, it says that that somebody was dead and Allah gave him life, and then he also gave him light. That means that he was revived in the fullest form of life. And you are asking that who those people could be. So of course, after the prophets and imams, where there is absolute life, and from which we get those. There are people mentioned by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah in his Farmans of Pir Sadruddin, Pir Shams, and certain other Buzurgs. So our peers, when they wrote Ginan, today we recite those Ginans, and those Ginans, if those Ginans have become part of our existence, then the peer with his is walking in us, because then it said, then he walks amongst the people with that light. So if the books of Pir Nasir Khusro have made a difference in our life, have taught us wisdom, then he walks with that light amongst us, that today we get to know from his light or his wisdom. We can acquire some light and some wisdom from his books, from what he has mentioned. So in that way, people mentioned by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah, actually to what extent they have reached. But there are certainly signs that such a person has a huge impact. Such a person has disciples and students, sometimes universally, like today Sadruddin's Ginans are across the borders, or Pir Nasir Khusro's literature is across the borders. So to make an impact, to have a circle of dawat, also write something which is of value for the people to come and understand. So yes, these will be the people who have made, these are our hujjats, our peers, and other buzurgs, which sometimes Imam has mentioned, and those who have written books of worth for us, of value for us. So these could be some of the people after prophets and Imam who are given absolute life and then light. And with that light, they walk amongst the people.
So I think Rumi is probably one. And who's the other M? I forget. Someone who said, I am the God. Mansur.
Yeah, but okay. I mean, as I mentioned that these are debatable questions, Leila Behin. Yeah, I mean, who has been raised to what level is actually known by Imam. But yes, the names which Mola has mentioned are there, and I said that there should be some indications, like the circle of Dawat, the theology, the tawil, the wisdom that person brought, then spreads widely. It is helping people. So this all is included to those who are revived and bestowed with enlightenment. Yeah, so there could be questions about that, but yes, they have progressed to whatever level, but there are guidance for people in that. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Leila.
There is one more question. How does our book of deeds, being written every second in our day-to-day life, help us, making us alive spiritually and intellectually?
Okay, interesting question. book of deeds written by angels is not something visible that we could see, but yes, we have an idea about our deeds and about our thoughts and about our words. We somewhere realize that what was right and what was wrong. And if we are spiritually alive, if we do a lot of ibadat and read books and reflect on nature, then we become spiritually and intellectually, we get close to the life, or we at least start to trade the path of life. And that's where we do realize it with more sensitivity, that how much alive we are and what is wrong and what is right. One of the ways is your own consciousness that pricks you, that tells you what was right or what was wrong, and where do you need to improve yourself. For example, a person enjoying the ibadat, enjoying going to Jamaat Khana, enjoying reading book of wisdom and internalizing that thing is an indication that he is close to that life, or he is trading on the path of life. And one other way could be your dreams. In understanding dreams, in that lecture, we had discussed that everybody who dies will get a book of deed, and sleep is also a kind of death. It is mentioned in the Quran, and it's also a hadith that sleep is like a younger sister of death. So we partially die and we get a partial book of deed in that. So if we see, like we had discussed, that if we see that we are in clean water, we are with good moments, we are flying, we are close to nature, we are reciting Ginan, we are doing zikr, we are enjoying that zikr. These are all the signs that we are walking towards our life. And if things are not that bright, if there are things that we feel bad about, those like dirty water, people who've been known for their bad habits and things like that, then this is an indication that shows you how much alive you are. So you can take help from those indications and think about your own self. You are the best person who can perhaps interpret that why did you see such a thing. And if you continue Giriyauzari ibadat, then I think we can then transform this situation. Sometimes you feel very much close to Mawla, you're doing Giriyauzari, you are doing ibadat. At other times we find our heart is very hard and we can't pray enough. We can't get close enough to Mawla. So these are states of the heart between the life and death, and we have to continue our struggle. So yes, dreams can help, and your own consciousness could help you how much alive you are. You know your own habits, you know how you treat people, you know how much time you give to Mawla, you know how much you read. So these are the indications which tell you, and some internal state is shown by dreams. So you can also make a guess through that. Yeah. Thank you.
Romina's iPhone, can you please unmute yourself? Romina's iPhone. Okay. Zeenat's iPad, can you unmute yourself?
I think Romina unmuted herself.
Okay. Go ahead, Romina.
I have a question. I have a question related to the last lecture of yours, in which you said that when Ishme-Azam becomes automatic in us, then the Noor of Mawla takes birth in us. So does this fact relate to the message given by Imam Begum in her Ginan Eji हरदम करो अभ्यास करीने देखो जी एजी अजम्पिया जाप भाई जिस घट भीतर जी सोही घट होयशे उजास करीने देखो जी. So does this Ishme-Azam becoming automatic is as Ajampiya Jap?
Yeah, okay. when the beater is ujas, when there is light within your heart, yeah, in your beater. Yes, we are getting close to that. And this is also related to today's theme, that now you have started to walk on the path where the light of Imam will guide you to make you spiritually alive. Like Hazrat Musa met Khizr, and then he was guided on the path, you know. So yes, where your Ism becomes automatic, the Noor of Imam gets birth in an actual sense, and then that light guides you. Your heart starts to become enlightened, and then you are spiritually alive. You are becoming spiritually alive and intellectually alive. Yes, that would very much refer to the same theme, but it is something for which you have to really make a very intense struggle. Yes, thank you.
Yes, Baima, for Ajampiya Jap, I always used to think a lot on Ajampiya Jap. And yes, one meaning is Ishme Azam becoming automatic. So we don't do Jap and it just goes on. So it is Ajampiya Jap. One more belief which I have, which nobody has given to me, but what I think is that our soul, which is always connected with the universal soul, is always doing Jap, is always in Ibadat with Maula. So when we get into the awareness of our soul, we'll be able to hear that our soul is always doing that jap. So am I thinking right that our soul is always doing bandagi and ibadat, but we are not able to hear it, and that is ajampiya jap?
Okay, a Ajampiya jump could be that you do not say it from your tongue. You say it inside. Yeah, this is not something that you have to say it loudly, or you don't move your tongue. You just sit. One of the aspect of a Ajampiya jump could be that, and one other aspect which you are saying that it recites itself automatically. Yes, that could also be one shade of meaning. And our soul doing zikr. Yes, soul, there is a lot of depth in our language, and sometimes when we are sad, we don't know any reason. When suddenly our mood changes, we don't know any reason. There is nothing outside which makes us sad. We are happy. We have everything we had asked for, and then we are sad. It is the impression of the soul, which I think we feel with intensity that soul is not happy. Soul is the higher eye of soul is connected with Mola. We all believe that we have come from Mola, not just cut off from him, but like the ray of the sun. So yes, our one end of that ray is within Mola. One ray touches us here. So the soul is there. The soul is conscious of that all the time. But this end of our existence, I think here we have to make a very conscious effort for our soul to move. We are connected to Mola, and we may not be conscious of that. That is fine. But is our soul doing zikr all the time? I think in our physical existence, in our bodily existence, we have to do it by ourselves to initiate it. Soul itself is connected with Mola in a way, but that realization has to come within us in this world through Isme Azam, and we have to move. That's what I understand of that.
Zenith iPad. Go ahead, Zenith. We can't hear you.
Zenith, we cannot listen you.
Okay, let someone else go then. I'm having trouble with my voice, with my sound.
Roshan, go ahead and unmute yourself.
really enjoyed your talk. I have a question on something that you touched on.
Hold on a second, Roshan. Do you have two devices on? We get interference.
Okay, let me put my headphones. Hold on. Can you hear me better?
Better, yes.
Okay, just, I'm so sorry. Bear with me for a quick second.
No problem, no problem.
Sorry about that. You touched on something very sensitive and delicate when the last individual was asking the question, the last participant was asking the question, and you said sometimes one is sad and there is no external reason for being sad. And you, I think if I heard you correctly, you said that the soul is sad. And I kind of wanted you to elaborate on that, because we do feel sometimes this deep sadness within us and we're not quite sure where it comes from, or whether it's a fear of some sort. But what I want to link it to is to depression.
Okay. You know, when soul is hungry, intellect is hungry, that is also manifested somehow in our personality, although we don't know. We sometimes don't even understand. If we are morally not nourished and morally not alive, then, for example, if we are not humble, we are not tolerant, then our heart keeps burning. We might have everything else we needed from the world. If we do bad with something, our conscious and we say that, oh, she told me that and I told her back and I answered tit for tat and she should understand that, and everything, we feel victorious, we feel very happy, but our heart sinks, you know. And sometimes we can't explain what happened. You gave a good answer and you were very happy about it. So I think that's where that depth of ethical aspect pinches us from inside. That's what I mean. Okay. Or the depth of spiritual aspect pinches us from inside, although we cannot express that what is happening, we cannot tell exactly why it is so, but something is lacking from inside. Something has changed from inside, which is bothering us. So you are right. Sometimes it could simply be depression. But sometimes it could be a call of your soul, which you can't hear, cry of your soul, which you are not able to hear. So that kind of a feeling could also be there. So I wanted to hint at that, but this is up to an individual to really discern what it is. Is it depression? That is he or she in the circumstances where this is depression, or this is the reflection of soul, or the soul trying to tell something. Like it is said that you are in the tomb of your body and you cannot hear. So sometimes we cannot hear what soul wants to say or what soul feels, but it is manifested from some of our actions, our thoughts, our state. I hinted towards that particular aspect, but it could be all different variety of things. And I think you would be a right person for your own self. Every person would be a right person for his or her own self to actualize or understand or realize that what it exactly it may be. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Zen, please unmute yourself. Zine. Okay, Leila Pirani, unmute yourself.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me?
Sana.
Can you hear me?
Okay, Leila Pirani, can you hold? You've already had a chance. So let Zain ask the question and then we'll let you ask your question. Thank you. Zain, go ahead.
It's something that I struggle with. You know that death is around the corner and you have very little time and you have to accelerate your journey to get back to the Alami Arwa or Asal Makan. How do you accelerate your journey when you're in that kind of state of mind? And the Quran also says you sell you sell the world to gain for the hereafter. So between these two, how do I make a connection?
Okay. In our literature, it's a beautiful example that if somebody is selling milk, the milk has to, I mean, it will change its taste, or I'm not talking about. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah. Okay, Zen. Thank you for muting yourself. So, our age, our time is like those things of the world which will rot if we not immediately use that. Although now we have so many ways to save things through chemicals, etc. But imagine if in a village you don't use the vegetable in time, it will rot. So there is an idea that if you don't use your time, if you don't sell your time and buy something lasting, for example, a farmer sells his vegetable and gets money in return. So money is something lasting as compared to vegetable. So it is to sell your every breath, which is going to finish, which is going to rot, in place of something that is lasting. That is the pleasure of Mawla, that is the enlightenment of your soul, that is the zikr of your soul. So one of the ways to become conscious about is to become daimus zikr. This is one of the concept which we have in Ismaili Tariqa. Pir Pandiyat Jawan Mardi talks about it, that you have to become daimus zikr. It means you do zikr, whatever you are doing, do a zikr. It does not mean that you leave anything of the world which is important, significant to do. But while you are cooking, if a tasbih is on, or if you are reciting a tasbih, if you are driving, you are listening to Ginan or Farman, you're going to sleep at that time, you listen to something which in a way help you wash your heart. Thinking about it, you try to set a corner in your house, keeping the important books of Farman, Risala Dar Haqiqat-e-Deen, Islam, the religion of my ancestors, and all the other available things which could help you. So conscious about your life. Your progress, and if at any point you feel through your dreams or through your inner call that you need to do more, then you become more conscious. And I know that when I sleep from 4 to 5, this was the time which I could have sold and got something lasting in return. Peer also says, yeah, ke tame word jara, you are merchants and do your commerce with great alertness so that you do not make loss. So our time, our life, our thoughts, these are all raw material to gain something higher. So you sell them or you use them to get something lasting in return, which is satisfaction, which is happiness, which is life. So that's what I meant. And to accelerate that particular journey, first of all, you have to be conscious and you try all the means to become alive. It is to do zikr, it is to do sujood. Sometimes you just recite a tasbih for a while. because that also makes you alive from within. And but Girya Uzari cleanses the heart, and then it becomes easier to do something. It has a lasting and longer impact. After Girya Uzari, if we do some ibadat or if we read some book, it helps more rather than when our heart is amongst the whisperings and we start to do ibadat and read a book. Yes, so preparation is important, being conscious is important, like peers have talked about what you eat, pet bharsho to bhari thasho. So there are some conditions that what kind of food, how much food we take, how much we sleep, what kind of talk, worldly talk. We spend our time in useless talk, or we talk about, because this tongue is given as an amanat, so what we use it for. So if we become conscious and we fulfill certain conditions, then this journey could be accelerated. But we are human beings, many times we again get slow, we again have to come on the track, and it is the destination is of course very far. But if we are struggling and we are trying to transform ourselves, we are thinking about our habits, if we are conscious, then I think we are already making a success. We are already doing a commerce by selling our time, our efforts, and getting something lasting in place of those things. Yeah. So this is how I think I can answer your question, Zen.
Leila, you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes. Sorry, Shanaz Appa. I want to ask you one question. That when our conscience breaks, when you do something wrong, but I am not what is indicated in your dreams. That is one thing I do not understand. So if you have good dreams or bad dreams, what do they indicate?
Okay, there was a complete talk on dreams, that there are symbols which do not have a body in the world, like lust, like greed, and they appear in forms of some embodied creatures. Like today we said that greed is duck and lust is cock and pride is peacock. Yeah. So if we see people with good names, if we see Maula, if we see Jamaat Khana, Zikr, pure water, these all are indications of spiritual progress. And if we see a place, a desert where we find ourselves in some sort of a chaos, at a deserted place, not exactly desert, I mean, at a place where there are ruins, if we see ourselves in bad clothes. I think perhaps that particular lecture was in English and Urdu both. So listening to that might help you. But dreams are also indication of our internal state. That was the punchline of that lecture. And this could also help you understand how much are you alive, what is your internal state, perhaps what you should be doing. These are guiding principles.
Okay, so I have dreamed where I have gone through a very hard lot of hardship with my daughter at certain time, and that appears in my dream, not any specific good place or bad place. So it's about some hardships that I've encountered, like it might be in my dream coming back.
Okay, so I think listening to that lecture would help you, Leila.
Okay.
There are good dreams, there are bad dreams, there are dreams in between which are reflection of our own life, you know. So I think listening that would help you. If you have any question after having listened to that, we'll discuss that, yeah?
Okay, I'd like to know the source, please, of the dream lecture you gave.
Leila, Leila, we will send that to you.
Thank you so much, Zinat. I love you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll send it to you first thing tomorrow morning.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Salima, we have quite a few questions in the chat. Have you guys, have the co-hosts looked at some of the questions?
Yeah, I see one more question. It says, how can the concept of being alive and becoming dead be understood when we leave the physical world? How does the understanding of this concept of becoming alive or dead change or shift from when we live in the physical world versus when we leave the physical world?
Thank you for sharing the question, Salima. I think I'm through these lectures, I'm preparing for one other topic, which is about soul. And I think we'll discuss it in that particular topic. Yeah.
Zinatapa, I don't see any more questions.
If you go up, see if there's anything else. I thought I read somebody said that somebody called Mariam had a question. Leila Mariam. I think Mariam has a question.
I could say Khayal Ali's.
Yeah, Mariam, can you unmute yourself?
It was in the chat, I think.
I don't see the question actually.
Okay, so to become alive. All right, let me look and see if it was sent to me. Scholar. Khayal Ali, did you have a question? Did I see anything?
I see one more question.
Okay.
It says, we took the session on Book of Deeds, in which it was discussed that we are the one who writes the Book of Deeds every day by ourselves in actual sense, apart from angels through our good action, meditation, and personal search and knowledge. So I think so she wants to know, is this right or wrong?
Okay. Yes. I mean, these are our own powers which record it for us. I mean, we can take an example. Perhaps they are video recording it, they are audio recording it, they are making a chip out of it, you know, which will be just shown to us or played to us. So angels are also our own powers. So in a way, if we are conscious and we know our own deeds, but we cannot remember everything. So these are spiritually recorded and these could be our own powers. So in a way, yes, it's we ourselves are recording because our soul has that power. And in a way, we can say that we ourselves are recording, but you cannot claim it as you are recording something in your office and you can produce it anytime. It is spiritually stored and reserved and to be shown either in partial death or in after the physical death. So yes, it's our own power. Thank you.
Zinatapa, I don't see any more questions.
Okay, there's somebody putting a, again, I got a message, Mariam, unmute, permit her to unmute. Okay, if you raise your hand, then we know where you are.
There is a question in the chat by Sally. Sally.
Oh, okay, I'm going to ask her to unmute and see if she can unmute herself.
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Yali Mother. Yali Mother. Shenaz and Bhai, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm very, very happy to hear your voice, and I was really touched with that. And I have a question. Very simple questions. It's about the reality of the life. The life that we go, the people who gets married, and they go through some hard life during their way of the house that our husbands deal with us. You know, I feel like I cannot open the words what it is, but I can tell you in short that a man is always dominating the wife, right? And the wife takes it very nicely, patiently, all these years. For 35 years, I am talking about myself. I had a very rough life with this person. And I went through, I had patience because I had kids. I had to go through that. And when one of my friends says, Mariam, don't worry. I think this is the life that God has given you, is to take care of your husband. And this is the life because you are going to go to Jannat. God is there listening to your prayers and is there taking care of you because you are healthy, happy, and a good soul. Is that right? I said I'd say dua, I do ibadat, I do everything, but still I haven't got into very, very inside. Like I need to go into ibadat that I can see God's light. I'm trying to do that. I'm a very happy person. I just forget what he says and I do my thing.
Okay.
I listen to him. I take two doctors to him. He's a sick person. I am very, very emotional person that I cannot see anybody sick. I love my family and my two children. And my two children are big enough now. One is getting married. And so I'm very happy with my life and my children, but I cannot take care of this person. I am trying to, but every day it seems like it's not getting into the point that I want him to be like, very, to depend on God, to trust God. I can't make him change. I want him to change like that, like how I am. But it's not possible. Now it's not possible. It's too late too. So what can I do? Any just little answer to that question?
Okay, Mariam. Apart from your the part of your life which you said you have already thought that this is the path and you are happy with that and you are continuing. So yeah, that is an individual's choice. And taking care of family, keeping the family united is also a very important thing. I will take this part of the question that what could you do to perhaps change him? I think keep praying for him. That could be one thing. If he loves to listen to Ginan or some tasbihat, this could be an audio zikr for him if he listens to that. Or I think prayer is one way if you think, or perhaps change your way to explain it to him. See what he likes, what kind of examples you can bring perhaps to convince him. That could be one of the way, Mariam. But you really look a very happy-go personality despite all the hardships. That is so nice to see. May Mola bless you and give you more courage. Thank you.
Shinazapa, there is a question. It says, the subject is how you become alive, but can you shed light on Mawla Ali alayhi salam's kalam, which says, Malkul maut to sab par aave, sab bande ki le jata hai jaan, is marne agal jo mar chale, so markar paave amar maqam. ऐसा मरना जो मर जाने वासल, हक वो कामल फकीर, ये दरजा पावे सो वली किलावे, ये फरमाया हजरत आप अमीर.
Okay, this is about Mutu Qabla an tamutu, which is a prophetic hadith which says die before your death. So, I mean, getting to that point of enlightenment, getting to that light of absolute life is a long journey, is a difficult journey, and you go through the pain almost like of a dying person, that you die constantly to get that life, to acquire that life. So yes, the one who goes through this particular experience, then that person achieves the absolute life, or he is absolutely alive. So Mullah Murtaza Ali, what the theme Mullah Murtaza Ali has given is the same as given in prophetic hadith, Mutu Qabla an tamutu, and Hazrat Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salvatullah alayhi has also somewhere hinted in his Baitul Khayal Farman that you may try to pull your soul out of your body during the ibadat if you could. It's not an easy thing. For that, of course, there is certain preparation, and it is the blessings that one will be able to do that. So yes, it exactly matches the theme that to become alive, you have to go through the deaths. And once you have gone through that voluntarily deaths, then you have become alive. And this is what Allah means, that He gives people life after death, you know.
Okay, Jay Samin, can you please unmute yourself?
Would you say Jasmine?
It's Jasmine.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad, Jasmine.
How are you, Shanas? It's I wanted to ask you, is there such a feeling where, you know, you're going about your day, but you feel inner happiness from your heart and soul? Is there such a thing? When you, like, you know, if you're doing Giriya Zari, Tasbih, and all your religious and duties, you know, and then everything is in alignment. Is there such a feeling or no?
Oh, yeah. I mean, once you have done a good Giriya Zari, and if it is a constant habit, your heart remains satisfied, content, and full of joy. This is one of the impacts of Giriya Zari, that happiness comes from the core of your heart, and that really touches you. But like Giriya Zari is cleansing your soul, and like body needs wash again and again. If we keep doing Giriya Zari, yes, it cleanses ourselves, and it creates a happiness which is unmatched happiness, you know, and
okay.
You feel really good. Yes.
And then when you're doing Giriya Zari, you feel numb sometimes. Is that possible? When you do Giriya Zari, maybe out loud or even internally, sometimes you feel numb. Is that a normal feeling?
I think it could impact differently to different people. But yes, sometimes numbness this could be part of your intense ibadat or Giriya Hozari. It could be there. But it appears differently with different people. Jasmine?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Khayal Ali, can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, I had wanted to make a comment about the story of Ibrahim and the 4 birds, but before doing that, just because the most recent comment was about mutu kabla anta mutu, about die before you die, I just wanted to make a point about that. Is that sometimes, you know, it's good to think big, the, you know, sort of large experience that we want, but I think also we should give importance to the small aspects of, like, small steps of dying, meaning there's like very, very minor forms of death, which is that anytime we have a sort of negative thought or impulse to do something, whether it's a bad habit, you know, whether it's gossiping or even wasting time watching, let's say, television when we know we could be doing ibadat, whenever we have small temptations, I think that when we deny those, that's like a small form of death for that temptation, for that habit. And by doing that repeatedly, you know, you're making that habit slowly walk away because you're killing it slowly every time you have the impulse. So that was just a comment about the die before you die, because sometimes I think we think so large that we want the immediate spiritual experience, but we don't realize that these small, small steps we can do is like having minor stages of death until we get to the spiritual stages. That being said, I wanted to make a comment about Hazrat Ibrahim. And I know you mentioned that there's many different levels of tawil, which I understand. I just wanted to see if I can share one, which I heard in one of these sessions, and it's related to the 4 birds. And it's kind of somewhat similar to what Rumi had mentioned, but on a slightly different aspect, different level. And it goes back to the Quranic verse of 1681, in Quran 1681, which is Surah 16, I should say, in Ayat 81. It says, and Allah has made for you of what he has created shadows. And the idea here is that there's many things which God has created, not just physically, but there's also spiritual creation, and they have a shadow, and that shadow should be for us. It's within us, actually. So the 4 birds, according to this interpretation that I heard, which I think people might find interesting, is that it relates to 4 angels. And why angels? Because bird is, like we mentioned in one of our sessions, is a code for angels. So in this sense, you have the Jibrail, Mikael, Israfil, and Israel, which are 4 angels. But because they're within us, because human beings have that carnal soul, as long as you have the carnal soul, those shadows, those powers are within us, but they're sort of like dictated to by the carnal soul. But when you take these 4 angels, and each of these has a power, a sort of different function within us, but we give spiritual training. And by training is because the Quranic verse you mentioned says that you have to, kill these birds, which actually slaughter the birds. It's like making them into pieces. So again, it goes back to the whole idea of die before you die, of these small acts that we do that are constantly killing these impulses. And then when we do that, these 4 angels will one day come to life because of this training that we're giving to ourselves. So it's just an interesting way of looking at the 4 birds. When they come to life, these powers, these angels will work within us, which is a higher level of understanding about death and resurrection and recreation. So I wanted to share that one. And it does of course relate with ibadat, I would say as well. Imam Sultan al-Jama has said about ibadat in terms of forgetting the self and spiritual abandonment of self to the great universal soul. And this happens in ibadat, right? So when we do have, of course, we have our daily training that we do, but in ibadat, there's a chance to forgetting of the self to experience that spiritual death, that we can actually see this in a spiritual sense. I just wanted to share that one. Thank you.
Thank you, Khayal Ali. Thank you, Khayal Ali. Yes, this is one aspect of Tawil, or one of the Tawils, that you alive your own 4 powers. One of my lecture is also on YouTube, Hikmati lectures. It is about 4 angels, but it is in Urdu. I don't think I've been able to convert that into English. So yeah, so it talks about that these are 4 powers. And yeah, you nicely related it to 4 birds also. The other levels of Tawil is 4 Hujjatan of Imam, etc. So yes, right. This is very interesting Tawil, and this relates to you directly, that you transform those powers, those angels, into strengths, and which finally brings it closer to Mutu, Qabla and Tumutu. And thank you, Khayal Ali. One other thing which I like, that when we are thinking about this big thing, Mutu, Qabla and Tumutu, then of course it is far, it is very difficult, and we might feel that we're not getting anywhere. So we have to start from the small steps which we take. Particle by particle, we are getting closer, and that should be our source of happiness, that we are at least struggling, we are trading, and we are walking towards that life. So yes, this is very important. Thank you so much, Khalil.
Okay. There is a question from somebody asking for a friend. I have a question. My friend does not have kids. It will keep bothering when she will have kids. And she says, Inshallah, what can she say? Also, is it not having kids mean that Allah is not holy and does not want to bless you because needs? Also, she's fine with not having kids, but on night of Laylatul Qadr, should she ask for them? The kind of 3 questions in one.
Okay, I mean, just answer that one quickly. That no, of course, disappointment is considered to be a sin, and thinking that it is because of, the test of life is there, and Allah says in Quran that He will test you from different things. So I think we'll have to consider it as a test of life, and be patient on that. There are wisdoms He knows, we don't. So I don't think that anybody should be thinking that it is result of some sort of thing he or she might have done. I think Allah is very kind, very merciful to all people. And if He chooses you for a certain hardship, it is for your own good. It is for your spiritual cleanliness. So I think taking it as a test of life, and then be patient on the Riza of Mola, that will help you. That thinking will help. And it is not that because we did something bad, so There are people who do not even believe of doing something good and bad in past, but they have kids. So it is more to do with the test of life. And Mola chooses people for that. And he wants to bless you from some other aspects. So yeah, I think shortly I would say that.
Okay, Salima, you're doing the next one?
Yes. Zinadapa, there are 2 more questions in chat and 2 more hands up. After that, we will end the session. It's already 10:30 here.
Okay.
Okay. So the question is, what is partial death? Is it partial book of deeds which are partial book of deed which we are showing during our dreams? Please explain us as we are confused.
Okay, so like just now, Khayal also mentioned that if you overcome a temptation to do something like watching TV for a long time or playing a game, this is also that you forced your nafsi amara. It was your nafsi that you controlled and you do something to elevate your soul. And by when I was relating it to dream, there is a ayat in the Quran which says that Allah seizes souls of those who sleep, then he sends back the souls who still have time in the world, and he keeps those souls with him whose time is over. So it is the Quranic concept, and may I please request you to listen to the lecture of understanding dreams, because that has elaborated explanation of that verse, and it is on the basis of that verse that I have said that Allah seizes your soul during the sleep, and then he sends it back when you wake up. So seizing the soul is an act of Hazrat Israel, or an act of death which happens partially in your sleep. So that's where you partially die and then you become alive. You partially die and you become alive. And during that partial death, you get a partial book of deed, which is in form of your dreams. So it is in relation to that that I have said that. So yeah, I think listening to that lecture would help. And it is based on Quranic notion of seizing the soul during the sleep.
AE, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, Shahnaz, actually, I wanted to just say that somebody talked about these children that having no children, and I do see one thing, that most of the people forget one thing: children, you are a trustee. Allah has given belong to you. They're not your property. People think they have property like they have children. It's an amanat. You are a trustee, God's trustee for those children. If you have money, you are also a trustee for the wealth Allah has given you to be used for Allah's cause. Or if you have education or knowledge, you are still a trustee. People in the materialistic world sometimes get these things, that they own these things. They own children, or they own these things. Those are the blessings of Allah. So people who have children, it's very unfortunate when they talk to the people of no children, in a way, forgetting that the children, they do not own those children. And I think one of the things, if I'm not mistaken, it's Hazrat Ali, that one of the things he says, that, you do not talk to the people who do not have children and you talk about children. It can sometimes be hurtful to them. Or do not talk to the poor children, poor people about the wealth that you have, because that's also a pride in hurting the poorer people. So it's very important to talk the way to talk to the people, particularly in spirituality, to understand that you have to be mindful of those things, particularly if you are a spiritual people. That's what I feel. So I don't know what's your idea on that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I think perhaps the person who is yearning is if he or she realizes that they are trustee and they want to upbring a soul in this world with good intention, then it is fine. But you are right. You have a point. It is a test from Allah. It is Allah's wish, and He has made you trustee. So yeah, but we also have to take care that not to talk about in front of people who already are lacking those things or don't have those blessings. So we should be careful that our talk to them should not be hurtful to them. But this is the world, and despite your best effort, this keeps happening. So it's okay to share it, but you're right that we have to be happy with the wish of Mola. Yeah.
One more question. Please elaborate more on Al-Hayy, alive, which you mentioned today.
Okay, so one of the names of Allah is Al-Hayy. It means He is alive, He lives. Of course, the life of Allah is the highest standard of life. So, and all the attributive names are there to tell you something. There is a connection. Okay, He is alive, but it is like, for example, Allah says that in my hands are the keys of the treasures of ghaib. I have keys of treasure in my hand. So like a worldly boss, Allah is not saying that, oh, I have the treasures and I have the keys and it is only me. What He is trying to say, or He says that I want to give those keys to you. I want to give those treasures to you. So Allah is Al-Hayy, and He wants to give that life to you. He wants you to become alive spiritually and intellectually. So, and He is also guiding you for that through Imam Zaman, through the guide. So He is Al-Hayy, and He wants to give that life to you. It means that you will exactly know that from all the other kingdoms, what is the absolute life, and there is a possibility of becoming alive, and that will be a point of annihilation. And that is that if you become alive after mutu qabla an tamutu, or after annihilating, then you live forever, because you become alive in Him, you become a part of Him. That is the concept of fanafillah. So in short, the concept is that He has the absolute life, and He is inviting you to that life. And when you are alive, then this is the kind of life which never finishes. There are Hadith Qudsi where Allah says that you obey me and I will give you that life that you will never die. So it means that you get, like we hear for Khizr alayhi salam, that he lived forever. So it is not the physical form, but the spiritual form. So it is the absolute life. It is the gift of life, which does not have any decay. It does not have death. So that's what the life of paradise, in a way, that's what Allah wants us to achieve. So Him being Al-Hayy is also an invitation and message that you try to acquire that life to best of your effort. Yeah. Thank you.
Saba, may I add something about Al-Hayy al-Qayyum?
Sure, Khalil.
The question came about the power of Al-Hayy, and which we said is the power to make us alive. I just wanted to add something really quickly, if I may. There's a report in the book. It's actually published by the IAS. It was called An Anthology of Quranic Commentaries. And yes, published by the IAS. And one of the verses they go over is of Ayat al-Kursi. And in that course, that explanation, there's an interesting footnote, and it gives a story about the time of Battle of Badr. And it's reported from Imam Ali that he said that while they were engaged in the Battle of Badr, he went to the Messenger of God, meaning Prophet Muhammad, to see what he was doing. And every time he would go, he found the Prophet was prostrating and was saying, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. Now this is during the Battle of Badr, where there's actually fighting. And we should think of the idea of battle, because that comes important, fighting and war, what that might mean. But the Prophet was saying, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. And Hazrat Ali would go and continue to fight, and then he would come back again. And still the Prophet is saying, Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum. Over and over again, this would happen, and he would come back and keep seeing him. And so that's all the Prophet was doing, was simply reciting this Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, until God gave us victory. So I think that's an interesting report here about the power of Ya Hayyu, Ya Qayyum, that while a battle is going on, the Prophet is fighting with the spiritual power of these words, which tells us that when we were to use the zikr of Ya Hayy or Al Hayy or Ya Al Hayy Al Qayyum, what kind of power they may be. And I brought up the fact that this was Battle of Badr because when we hear concept of battle and warfare, we should think obviously of the Jihad Akbar. Meaning, if this was happening during the physical battle, it's an ishara for us to know that in our battle, our Jihad al-Akbar, spiritual battle against our carnal soul, the dhikr of al-Hayy or al-Hayyul Qayyum can be very powerful in this regard. So once again, the book is Anthology of Quranic Commentaries. It's a little bit of a dry read at times, but there are some hidden gems buried in that book.
Okay, thank you, Khayal. Interesting, yes.
Okay, Zen, please unmute yourself, and this will be the last question as we are already late. It's 10:39 here.
Okay, wanted to ask you about, it says, Shakarim's Farman, that in the end there will be only light. There will be no physical context. And like I figured, the body is still there. So what does he mean by that? If you can explain that to us. And then the other thing I wanted to ask you about is that the whole universe is in you. And before you can recognize God, you have to recognize yourself.
Okay. So both your questions are connected, in my opinion, to one single theme of our soul being connected with the universal soul. The Quran says, chapter 4, verse 1, خَلَقَكُم مِّن نَفْسٍ وَاحِدَةٍ. I have created you all from one single soul. So we come from that single soul. We do not come as the drop of rain comes from the cloud and disappears in the earth. We come to this world like the ray of sun comes from sun. The one end of that ray is in that sun, and one ray is on the earth. So while we are here, even in this particular state, while we are in this world, we are connected with the companion on high, Rafiq Allah, it is not. We are connected with the universal soul. Like Mola says, you are always in my thought, in my heart, in my love. Because I take image or faces of you with me, a gist of Mola's Farman. So because we all are spiritually connected, we are alive there. Even after we pass the world, there is a sense of life that because we all are part of universal soul. So I think when we say that the whole universe is in us, it means that this universe is made to understand the religion, the hadith which I quoted, that Allah has laid the foundation of his religion on the examples of his creation, so that you understand his religion from his creation. So everything out there is explaining something of religion, and it is encompassed in you in spiritual and comprised form. And when you actualize your potentials and when you progress spiritually, you will find that it is not that you live in this universe, actually the whole universe lives in you. So it is the tree of universe and you are the fruit of that tree. So you realize it later on. That's where, when you recognize yourself, you recognize your Lord. Maula Ali says that you man arafa nafsahu faqad arafa rabbahu. One who recognizes himself recognizes his Lord, because that spark is right here. It is in here. And when it becomes flame and merges into universal flame, then we realize that, oh, that reality existed here, and the whole universe and the divinity and the angels, everything of religion was in our own personal world. And we realize that, and that's where we recognize everything else. Like Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salvatullah Alayhi has also said, he talks about the people of high rank in spiritualism, and he says they were lovers of their own soul. So they were lover of their own soul in the meaning that their soul was one with the universal soul, or they were part of that universal soul. It was not a separate entity. So in that sense, yes, we are part of that big reality. So that sense of connection the connection is always there. Like Imam says that life is a small path of the eternal life. This physical life is a small path of that eternal life. So life goes on. We are there, but this connection with Nafsikul, and secondly, that the whole universe is comprised in us in a spiritual form. And when we actualize, we do see that the whole universe plus the divinity, it all resides inside. And we needed to explore and find out that. Yeah.
Is it like saying, is it like the birds in the conference of the birds? They realize that, oh my God, what I was looking for is just me.
Yes. Yes, very true.
Yeah. He creates the world and then he hides himself in the creation, and that creation is the soul.
That is true.
So he's right in you, right? So what we are looking for is right inside us, but we need to open the whole flower and see it, and then whatever. I'll stop here. But thank you very much. You really helped.
Thank you, Zan. Thank you so much.
Yasmin Appa, can you take over, please?
Thank you, everyone. And I guess it was very wonderful to engage with everyone. Thank you, ALWAAZ, Shehnaz, and one and all in one. We will continue this discourse next week. And in the meantime, if you do have burning questions or if you have an insight, please let us know. Inshallah, we will continue on.